Welcome back to the VAT channel. Today I'm standing here on our balcony in Quarry Bay, and in the background you can see Bramer Hill, but it's covered in clouds and mist today, so we're just going to go for a short outing down King's Road, walking past the tramways, also past the Towers Temple, but it's got a name as long as my 500mm lens, so I'm not able to pronounce that. And after that we're going to go to a biodiversity centre. So come along and see what we can find. We are in King's Road on our way to that little Towers Temple and also the Eco Centre. And King's Road, as you can see, is quite a busy road. You have buses in here and also trams. These trams have been running in Hong Kong since 1904. So they survived 2 world wars and they still being used today. And as you can also notice, they use these trams to advertise. So from here we go first of all to the Towers Temple. It's close to Quarry Bay MTR station. I'd say it's about 2 to 3 minutes walk from here. This area is called Tai Koo Shing, and you have these skyscrapers here, which is typical in Hong Kong. Let's go up these stairs to the Towers Temple. Now, it's not a very big temple, and apparently it was erected in honor of a real person that people started to worship, because they prayed to this person about a certain plague, and after the plague went away, they believed that it was due to their prayers to this person, and then in his honor they erected this little temple. And as we go up, you will see a lot of statues of various gods and goddesses in a Buddhist and Taoist tradition. So here already you can see some of the statues. These are rather small, just to give you an idea. If I put the camera next to it, it's slightly taller than my camera with a lens. And on this side there are some really small statues. When we do a comparison, if I put the camera here, it just towers over these statues over here. Now, as we go up, you'd also see some incense that people are still burning today. Here on this side as well. And it's remarkable the number of statues they have here. You can also notice in front of these statues they have these tiny vessels, and right now they're full of water. This is also an area I like to come to take macro shots. Now, although this is in the city center, as you can see from these skyscrapers, it's also surrounded by greenery, lots of trees and shrubs, and these attract beautiful butterflies, moths and other insects. So if you're into macro photography, it's a great place to come. Even these little statues can make interesting macro shots. But if we think about the statues again and the reason why they are here, that's something quite interesting in itself. Most of these statues are abandoned ones. They were once in homes of families, and perhaps these people died or they moved somewhere. Now, they believe that you can't just discard of these statues. You can't throw them away. You can't give them to somebody else either, because they believe that spirits enter these statues, and you're not sure whether those are good or bad spirits. So if you give them to a friend or relative, it may bring them bad luck. So we're on our way down back to King's Road again, and you can see a lot of construction happening on this side, and you can still see the mist covering the top of that skyscraper, and quite a contrast here between nature and the city. Here we are now at Mount Parker Road Green Trail, and this will also take us to the Eco Centre that we're heading to. So let's go and see what we can find on the way. Our way, we came across another little shrine or temple. I'm not sure whether this one is Buddhist or Taoist, but it's something that you see a lot in Hong Kong. Even when you go for a nature walk, you would see these little shrines to the pagan gods. Now you can see why it's called the Green Trail. There's a lot of trees here, and hopefully I can put this lens to good use today. And already here a lot of birds. Although these are small birds, I don't think we're going to see any big ones like ostriches today. Not in this part of the world. And unlike in South Africa, where we can feed birds and animals, here you can actually go to jail. So imagine being in prison with murderers and rapists, and they ask, what did you do wrong? And I fed some birds. And you go to prison for a year. In this tree, you'll notice some nests. Now these are not birds' nests, they're actually ants' nests. The ants would weave these leaves together into a nest, and then they'd live inside. You can see there's quite a prominent one over here, but there's quite a number of them. And this is something fairly common here in Hong Kong, and also other parts of Asia, like in Malaysia and Thailand. You'll also see these massive ants' nests in the trees. Very close to the Biodiversity Centre. Here you can see the full name. It's the Woodside Biodiversity Education Centre. So just a few more minutes and we'll be inside. And it seems like they're having some sort of an exhibition here today. There's a little tent up there. I think we can go and check out and see what that's all about. At the booth here, they gave us permission to film, which is something important to obtain in Hong Kong, unlike in other Asian countries like Malaysia or Thailand or Indonesia, where people are very keen for you to make videos of what they're doing. In Hong Kong, people are very conscious and you have to get consent if you want to film anything, but they agreed to it, and we were able to put our bags down, and I put my camera down, and they were doing some sort of Quarry Bay orienteering course. And that's another thing interesting about Hong Kong. Everything has to have a certain purpose. You can't just go for a walk. You have to get a certificate that you've done it, and then they call it a course. So that's part of what this little booth was about. But they also had something else, and you'll see more of that in a minute. So there's this little challenge here where you've got to try and navigate this ball. This is like a map of some parts of Hong Kong, starting with Aberdeen. Let's see how far I can get before dropping the ball into one of the holes. Now I'm not very good at this sort of thing. In fact, it's my first time to try it. I better go down. Let's try and follow this pink road here. Wow. They say if I manage to do this, I get $1 billion. So let's see. I don't think I get even a quarter of the way there. Wow. Now that ball wants to fall in. It's Go, 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 that's way, okay, there we go. Maybe I need to do it a bit faster. So up we go, and that name I can't pronounce. And I'm going past one of the places. Ooh. Up to Tai Mo Shan, quite a climb. Now, how do I turn here? Gotta try and get back down. So these are some of the country parks apparently. Going down to another nature reserve, another education centre it seems. First going past Clearwater Bay. And Lions Nature Education Centre. Perhaps that's another place we can check out on another day. Oh dear, going up too high. It's a test of patience. Maybe I should send some of my chess students, those who move too fast. Oh no, there we go, so I don't get my prize. I'm going to try for a second time from where I failed just now. Trying to get it around. It's quite a big hole. I guess this is also when you walk. If you actually do these routes, you have to be a bit careful, I suppose, not to slip. How do I get down without dropping the ball? Oh no! Shows you how difficult it is. But yeah, it's a very good test of patience, this. So if any of my chess students is watching this, better come and try this. What an interesting game. Never tried this before, so if you're ever in the area, maybe come and check this out. Very nice place to visit. Here you can see the outside of this building. It was built in 1922. It was originally used for senior staff of a sugar refinery, and it was later converted from 2 buildings to 1 building. And today it's being used as this biodiversity centre to try and create more public awareness of the biodiversity here in Hong Kong. So we are here inside the Biodiversity Centre, and it's very impressive how they've done it here. There's giant pictures here of various types of butterflies and other wildlife you can see in Hong Kong. You can see this one is of various flowers and birds over here. Pheasant-tailed jacana over here, mandarin duck, there's a hoopoe, silver-eared messia, white-collared kingfisher. Very impressive. And on the other side, there's some bigger animals, like a Chinese pangolin, a leopard cat, masked palm civet, and many others. So let's go inside. Here they even have live animals. If you look carefully, you can see a frog sitting over there behind the glass box. And that's an Asiatic painted frog. On this side we can see an owl, although that's not a real one. It's called an Asian barred owlet. It's also a short-nosed fruit bat. And there's some type of deer they also made a representation of, and a leopard cat on the other side. Here's another live animal. I know it as an oriental garden lizard, but it's also known by the alternative name of a changeable lizard. They may look like chameleons, but as you may have seen in one of my previous videos, they can actually move very fast. Unlike chameleons, who are very slow movers. On this side we have Hong Kong newts, and there are quite a number of them. There's one here on the left side, and there are another two here on the right side. Right now they're underwater, but I've also seen them sometimes sitting on this little rock over here. And lower down is a reef's turtle, and that one is sitting on the rock at the moment. They also have some fiddler crabs in here, and there's a description for horseshoe crab, although they don't have a live one here. Those horseshoe crabs are much bigger, and they look like prehistoric creatures, but again that's showing that the theory of evolution can't really be trusted, because at one point they believed that the horseshoe crab was hundreds of millions of years old, and later they found they're actually still in existence today and not extinct as was once believed. And as we get a bit closer, you can see some some fiddler crabs sitting between the rocks. So this is from the outside, and quite an interesting feature they have here. If you want to come and take a nice picture, it seems like you're out in nature. And we have up here scarlet minivet, which you don't see that often, even though it's described as a common bird in Hong Kong. I've only seen it a few times. Black kites you can see everywhere in Hong Kong, especially in the winter. There's around 5,000 of them in winter time, and in summertime you still get a lot of them, but not quite as many as in the winter. And of course you can always see various types of egrets in Hong Kong. Sometimes you also see squirrels and tree snakes. I've never seen one yet. Perhaps we will get lucky today, or maybe some other day, where we can see the tree snake. They also have some interesting games here for young people, where you can go through nature. It seems like you pretend to be one of the creatures, one of the birds or the turtles, and then you have to navigate your way through all the difficulties that you would encounter as a bird or a turtle or whatever creature there is in the game. And that is right beneath the Hong Kong eco map, where they have some very nice pictures of wildlife in Hong Kong. As you may expect from museums and education centres, they have a section here pushing the theory of evolution, claiming as fact that things took hundreds of millions of years to evolve, instead of teaching the true biblical account that things were created in 6 days and later destroyed by a global flood, meaning these fossils formed rapidly. This gives you some idea of the biodiversity in Hong Kong. It's quite remarkable. They have 564 different types of birds over here, 90 different types of reptiles, 57 different types of terrestrial animals, more than 1,000 marine fishes, and if we look at the total here, 5,679. So Hong Kong is mostly thought of as a big city. People come here for business, but they don't often come here for nature. And it's definitely a place where you can see a lot of variety in nature, whether you like insects or birds or land mammals or forests. Hong Kong is a great place to visit if you're a nature lover. The Eco Centre even has a cinema where you can watch nature documentaries or something about the history of the Eco Centre. And best of all, everything here is free of charge. So if you ever visit this place, it certainly is very interesting, the displays they have inside. And it's also very good facilities here if you need to use the toilet. They have public toilets here. They also have a water refilling station. So if you bring your own flask, you can fill up here free of charge. So on our way back from the Biodiversity Centre, we saw this interesting rubbish bin. It works with a foot pedal. You step on here, rubbish goes inside, so you don't need to get your hands dirty when you dispose of your rubbish. So I think we're going to finish today's episode here. Thank you for coming along, and we'll see you next time.